This is a Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast goes off-road on I-4.
Now flip the camera around so they can see I-4.
They can see it.
Oh, okay. Well, they can see behind us.
I'm sitting here with one of my co-hosts, Jason Crowley, who's driving, and
don't be alarmed if I start cussing. It's normal.
We're basically in Orlando or Disney World. We are heading east. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what we're doing. We don't have a trailer, but we do have a can of gas. We each have a cooler, and we have recording equipment. So Jason and I are just cruising down the road, talking shop, talking injuries, talking finances.
It's July now. It's not June, so we're out of Pride Month. So we are not going to Disney for that.
But you do have a red shirt on.
It happens.
So, we're going to shoot some stuff today. I don't know what I'm shooting. I don't have a pistol or a gun, so we won't be shooting any animals or people. But we're going to be talking, I guess, some motorcycle stuff. I didn't see a generator, so I'm guessing it's not electric since there's gas. Maybe he has the gas for the generator. But is there anything you want to sneak in or prep or say?
No, well, I mean, we can just talk about it, and then when we get there and you shoot everything else, and then Michelle ties everything together like she always does, and hopefully it makes sense and looks halfway decent.
Okay.
Not like Racer X quality, but
yeah,
at least halfway there.
And we don't have those guys. We don't have Tommy Tenders to shoot cool videos.
So basically, long story short, anybody that watches this that races or follows racing and actually pays attention to anything knows over the last several years there's been several small companies pop up. Some are Chinese, if you want to say knockoff companies or whatever. There's a guy in Georgia that is importing. He bought him and whoever his business partners are. I don't know who the other parties are, but like they bought the expired KTM patents for certain models and are reproducing. Basically, if you want to call them knockoff KTMs, they kind of are, but they're not, because it's actually legit KTM patents. There's just certain little pieces that they can't use because those patents are still in play. So you got all these little companies popping up, and basically it all boils down to the economy. Even though it's helped some things as far as bike prices go, the economy has screwed the bike prices to the point where a normal person that has even a decent job cannot afford to go out and buy a new motorcycle. Not easily. So these companies have popped up. They're trying to offer a solution to the average consumer, average rider that wants a new bike but can't afford a new bike. So, hey, you can buy one of our bikes. It's still good and dependable, but it costs half the money. So fast forward to now, I've been following several of these companies, just watching them, and there's been a couple times I've almost pulled the trigger just to say, what the hell, let's try this and see what happens. And worst comes to worst, it's a failed project, and I contact the company and be like, hey, I can prove that you're full of shit. So you have the Sunshine State Vintage Motocross Group. It's mainly older guys that race all vintage stuff across the state. A person that's involved in that group that owns a small dealer, I believe it's in Ormond Beach, somewhere over there. He builds old motorcycles and tinkers around with stuff like that. He doesn't really ride a whole lot anymore. He bought one of these Chinese brands that has just been released within the last 6 months, just to try it, see what the hell happens. So he bought one and he posted what he was wanting to do. Basically, he bought it. Hey, I want to shoot some video. I have a YouTube channel. I want to see, is the bike worth anything? Is this all garbage? You know, and go from there. I want to say he became a dealer or is trying to, so he got the bike at cost. So it really didn't cost him a whole lot out of pocket to do this experiment. He posted he was also looking for somebody to ride it. So luckily I saw the post like 20 minutes after he posted it. Nobody commented or liked it, nothing. So I immediately contacted him like, hey, I'm not anybody special, but I'd be more than happy to come ride your bike and beat the shit out of it just to see what happens. So contacted him, talked to him. He told me what he was wanting to do and set up a date. So right now we are on our way to Orlando MX to meet this guy and basically test this bike from a real consumer standpoint. The bike name is Kove or Kove. I'm not sure exactly what the actual pronunciation of it is. Kove. If you follow anything, they just rode the Dakar Rally with their brand. I want to say this was their first year in it, and they finished. All 3 bikes that they put in finished.
That's pretty impressive.
So from that standpoint, the brand platform in general is legit. So currently they have a rally bike that they built. They built specifically for the Dakar Rally. While that was going on, it was mass produced, sold to the public to compete with KTM, Honda, all these other brands that have rally bikes. So throughout this, once I got, hey, this is what we're doing, I've done a little bit of just my own research on the brand, just trying to figure out, is this a fly-by-night type deal? Somebody that bought some patents and crap and that's all it is. Or is this legit? So the guy that owns this company, the head dude that owns it, he's been involved in motorcycles since he was young. Basically, from a very young age, started his own little business, trying to build motorcycles, and has gone from there. Throughout the years, he's worked and developed and did this and did that. His ultimate goal apparently was to race Dakar. Well, he built a bike to do that. All 3 of his bikes he put in the car, finished. His plan is, first year finish, next year let's do this, next year, the following year let's do this, and just until we win. That's his goal. So,
with old technology.
Well, no, and that's where what they're built on now, like when you see the bike, there's some things that resemble other things. There's some things that don't resemble anything. There's stuff, there is some what appears to be copied, expired patent type products on there from other brands. But the bike itself is not a copy of anything. It is its own thing. So with that being said, I know Motocross Action has a couple of them in their possession. Kove has a couple riders in the U.S. that they've given bikes to, and that some of their dealers have given bikes to guys to try and test. There's a group out of Canada that apparently they do like group rides. Like you go up there, travel up there, go ride whatever part of the country. They bought 3 of these rally bikes to add to their fleet. So they bought all 3. They videoed from the time they got them, unboxing them, putting them together, breaking them in, running them through their paces. They're still running them through their paces. So far, the general consensus of everything I have found and watched and read is there's nothing wrong with them. Nobody can find anything specifically wrong with them. Now, obviously, you buy this bike or that bike. They all have their little quirks. It don't matter if you buy a Honda, a KTM, a Suzuki. It doesn't matter. You buy a new bike because it's a mass-produced item. You're going to buy some. Well, this broke, or hey, this is wrong. Like, it doesn't matter. That's the only thing so far they have found with these bikes. It's just a little one-off stupid things.
Yeah.
The bike we were riding today is a 250F. Okay. So they did the rally bike, which is a 450 motor. They built a 250F platform. They're currently finishing up their 450F platform, which is basically they have the motor, they just put it in a different chassis, and they're finishing that up, which is basically the same as the 250F from what I've seen and gathered. So the 250F, what we're going to be riding today, is 37.5 horsepower, which is about 5 or 6 horsepower under the other manufacturers. Is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? We'll find out. Weight-wise, similar. When you look at the specs, it's all very similar to all the big manufacturers, other than the horsepower is a little bit down. The horsepower being down maybe necessarily isn't a bad thing. It may make the bike more usable. I don't know. We will find out when I ride it. The big point is this bike, brand new, is $6,000. All your other manufacturers, just call it, are $3,000 or more above that. So, like I said, once we ride it, and then as time goes on and people get their hands on these bikes, and you'll see, okay, yes, it's good for this amount of time, but then this starts happening. Who knows? So I have questions. I've kind of answered some of mine just through a little bit of research, but I still have other questions that this guy may be able to answer. He may not be able to answer. And then throughout just time, and they may answer themselves, but we're going to go test it. We're going to try to set it up as best we can so I can at least be halfway comfortable on it and see what happens. Go from there.
Well, guys, we're going to shoot some video. I'm not Tommy Tenders. I am not Wes Williams. I'm not any of these. But we're going to shoot some raw video, get impressions. We may do some one-off real quick, like, hey, what do you think about the bike? First impressions. After a day of riding, we may do a recap on the way back. And if warranted, we'll sit down and do like a full-on recap and tie everything together in one podcast. But hey, it's Sunday morning. We were up before the crack of dawn to do this. Until I got in the truck, I had no idea where we were going. So y'all have a good Sunday. Enjoy. Jason, Godspeed to you. So is this a Chinese bike?
Yes, this is a Chinese 250F.
Okay.
But it's not a current mass-produced company that has been mass-producing Chinese knockoff shit for years and years and years. Okay. This is a legit person that loves motorcycles.
So you're not going to fold a rim?
From everything I've watched and read so far, they have a couple decent guys out here, mainly on the West Coast, riding these. Nobody has anything really bad to say. Nobody has had any catastrophic failures of any sort. Everything has been hunky dory, other than the stupid little things that will happen with any brand. So we're hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we don't have that one. um, but we'll find out here in a few hours. And
all right, guys. Well, enjoy your Sunday morning. I'm gonna watch some riding and walk around and shoot some video. And honestly, I'm pretty cool. I've never been to Orlando MX either, so I get to kill two birds with one stone. So enjoy your day, and we'll have a report for you here soon. Toodles. All right, guys. So here is the Kove or the Kove. It's a 250F, brand new. Literally, Jason took plastic off of it. This is Dave from Bullpen Cycles, Bultaco. He's actually got his beautiful Bultaco in the back of his truck that may or may not make an appearance today. We're hoping so. But Jason, who is doing some checking over things, is going to be test riding this Kove today. Kove. We're gonna go with Kove. Yeah. It sounds more elegant. Yes, Kove. And Jason's gonna ride this bike at Orlando MX today and see what it's like. Dave has his own YouTube channel, so you can find. What's the name of your YouTube channel, Dave? Bullpen Cycles, the YouTube channel. He restores old bikes, goes to swap meets, builds bikes, and he bought this on his own because he wanted to do an honest assessment of what these Chinese motorcycles are becoming. So Jason got in contact with him, and well, here's the bike. It's pretty. It's brand spanking new.
So what I learned is the bottom end is a Zhongchen engine.
Okay.
But Kove developed their own top end, the dual overhead cam top end. And it looks like it's a very similar, if not the same setup that's on their rally bike.
All right.
Their first generation rally bike, the 450 with the dual overhead cam, actually proved to be very reliable. Now this year at the Power Stick Car, they entered a second generation with their own motor, and they had a lot of teething problems. But the first generation was pretty good. Now I don't know how they are in the 250, and I don't know exactly if it's the same bottom end or not, but it's a very similar design just by looking at it. But the original Zhongchen motor would have been single overhead cam. So this is Kove's proprietary top end, and I think they changed the clutch around too.
Okay.
And that's all I know.
Well, we're going to let Jason, who loves testing stuff, if you saw our reports on the helmets and hydration, and we've done goggles and you name it, so now we're doing full bikes. So we'll get back with you guys in a little bit. All right, so we're out here, Orlando MX. Jason's on the first laps of this Kove. Sounds pretty deep and low. Basically, Jason's breaking the bike in, seeing how it feels, see if there's any odd quirkiness to it. All right. As Jason continues to warm up the bike, noticing that he's getting on some corners a little more, still feeling it out. No jumping yet. All right, so we did like the break-in. Of it. Rode it. Cruised. Well, first reactions?
Well, now it's a used bike. It's not bad. Not bad. First words out of his mouth is not bad. Okay, I'll take it. It kind of a shorter wheelbase, so for a smaller rider, it'd be perfect as far as fit. How's the seating position? For me, I wouldn't say it's cramped, but it's a little farther forward than I like. And how tall are you? 5'10". Yeah, a little bit. Suspension's not bad. As you can tell from the zip tie. I mean, obviously I'm not out there jumping and doing anything crazy, but I did bottom it out. Where's your zip tie? On the fork leg. Up here. Oh, down there. Yep. So suspension's not terrible. It doesn't feel that bad. The biggest thing I saw and felt was the power is lacking, but it's not. I don't think it's because there's lack of. I think programming would fix it. Second feels lean. Third feels fat. So basically, if they leaned it out, probably from third through sixth, it'd probably have a whole lot more grunt than what it does now. So you got to remap the ECU or put a power commander in it. Whichever one did whatever. Yeah. Okay. Or an exhaust system if there was one that would lean it out. The only thing they have right now is a key that advances the timing a degree or two. That's the only thing they have so far. That would probably help, but that's. I wouldn't say there's lack of power. It's dumping too much fuel from third on up. If you clean that up, I think it would be. So we should put it on a dyno and see what that looks like. Yes. That we can do. It's usable power. It's not crazy. It's not ripping out of your hands. The only variable is out there. It's very good dirt, so you have good traction. The test would be put it in sand and see what it does. Yeah. That would tell a little bit more.
Will it go? I noticed like you were kind of grunting out of corners. Will it come out of a corner?
I tried doing most of it in third just to see, because that's where I like to ride, third gear. Because it's new and still breaking in, I didn't want to abuse anything just yet. Thank you. So I don't know if with the little clutch work, if it'll come out harder or not. Bone stock, the way it is, your average weekend warrior that goes and rides, or even comes to motocross track every once in a while as a beginner, just to play around, it's fine. For somebody that races, you're gonna have to dive deeper into it to see what it will actually do.
So we wouldn't want
to. In stock form, on a in stock form, the way it is on a harder pack hair scramble track, it would probably do okay. Motocross track, a slower rider would have a hard time doing stuff safely. A more advanced rider would probably have to work a little bit to keep his momentum up in order to safely jump some of the bigger stuff.
Would a Caleb Groves hurt this bike?
It would hurt him. It's not fast enough.
Not fast enough. Question? Caleb Groves, he's an up and coming A-level rider, motocross guy. Yeah. So it's not fast enough?
No. Anybody that's, especially on motocross track, anybody that is decently skilled, in stock form, this bike is not fast enough. They would. So it's a beginner bike? In stock form, yes.
Does
Okay.
it have it? Does it have potential? Yes. How much has to be done to reach that potential?
Well,
Don't know.
for $59.99, that ain't bad.
No.
Well, I got a double shot. I got the owner, Dave, and I got the test rider, Jason.
Well, before y'all ask me, from y'all watching it, what do y'all see?
Like I said, the thing I saw was it seems like it's got a lower, like it doesn't want to pop out of the corners, and I don't know if that's because you're not trying to pop it out of the corners, and it seems a little nose heavy. Every time you kind of hit something, it wants the nose down versus just kind of flat. But the bike looks good. Like out there riding, you couldn't tell if you're on a gas or a Honda from just riding. Like yeah, it's red, but it doesn't look like, oh my god, why did this guy bring the Baja out here? It looks like a normal motocross bike.
It sounded like the RPMs were low. Like you weren't winding it up on purpose.
So, what you're talking about with the front end, if you stay in general with a 4-stroke, when you let off the throttle, the mass slows down and wants to roll forward.
Yeah.
With this, because you don't have the momentum to start with, depending on the situation, it can kind of be exaggerated a little bit. As long as you're moving, it's not as bad as what it probably appears. I'm leaving it in third and twisting the throttle wide open and slipping the clutch, and
It's just not there.
that's all she's got. The only way you either got to go carry a shitload more momentum, or you got to downshift to second, and as soon as you're coming out the turn, immediately go to third. So you would be jamming gears very hard a lot in order to keep the RPMs up higher.
I understand.
Yep. But yeah, that was, as long as
You can hear that.
as long as you're moving and got momentum.
What if you put an extra tooth on the back? Then the third might kick up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It could, depending. It'd be one of them things you'd have to try it just to see what it would do. It may do it, it may not. It may not have enough oomph to pull that extra. Like I said, it doesn't feel bad. I can feel it. It's there, wanting to turn loose. It just won't. So it's either dumping too much fuel, which is a simple fix as far as programming, or could be a restrictor of some sort in that muffler, choking it up.
Well, if it's too much fuel and you de-restrict it, it's going to lean it out some.
Yeah, that would
That would do it.
yeah, if it's choked up.
So, but put that on the dyno, it'll tell us with a sniffer.
Yeah.
It might do that because it's easy to put an open pipe on it, a more open pipe.
But I don't know if. So when we went down that way, we turned and came back, and those rollers.
Yeah.
Did y'all see I was doubling them?
Yeah.
So coming out of that turn down there, I'm rolling through it at a decent momentum. Decent speed coming in, but nothing crazy. And I'm just staying on it the whole time, and it's coming through. Towards the end, like the last two doubles, I'm having to kind of help it preload it a little bit to get it to bounce up, but I'm still moving forward. So it's these big tabletops, if you were to hit them the way it is now, even if you put a good rider on it and they pinned it, I don't know that you could clear them. I don't know that you'd have enough speed to clear them. Where I'm hitting them at, I mean, I know I'm not doing nothing crazy, but with the way the bike feels, I don't know that it would do much more than what it's doing in the form that it's in now. I think it's kind of where it is where it is, without starting to tinker with some stuff. As you can see, I was jumping more. That rhythm section, I still not bottomed out the forks.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it next photo.
It does. The shock doesn't feel bad. The forks in general do not feel bad. They're a bit harsh on hard landings. On your smoother landings, they're pretty fluid. They're not bad. On a little choppy stuff that's starting to develop, they're not. The shock's fine. The forks aren't bad. Probably could play with the clickers just one or two clicks here or there and get them to kind of settle down a little bit, but they're not bad. I've ridden with worse stock suspension on the other major manufacturers. So with that being said, the stock suspension on this is not bad. For what it is, it's, in my opinion, it's definitely better than Air Forks. So I will say that.
How does it, warming up is, how does it feel settling into a corner? Is it want to settle, or does it sit up top? Is it nosing?
It's squatting. I think that's just the preload on the shock. We probably could tighten the preload up a little bit and it would stand up a little bit better. It's not bad. Like, it'll squat down and bite. It's not like just standing up and sliding out or pushing. It's squatting down and biting. It doesn't feel bad. It's just probably tighten up the shock just a hair and it'd probably be a little bit better, but it doesn't feel bad.
Is it faster than a 230?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a...
I'm comparing and contrasting because a lot of people have the old Kawasaki 230s.
Hang on, let's start that one. That's a good one.
Okay.
So now you're comparing it to the Kawasaki
230 because a lot of people, they have that bike. It's a fun, easy bike to ride, but it's a 230 and it's not really set for aggressive riding. People do it, but it's not really set.
So your question to him was, is it faster than a 230?
Yes.
So this, obviously this is a 250F. That's where it's classified as. This is the way it feels in stock form. This is a detuned 250F. So the way your 250FX felt with the stock mapping that it came on it when I got on it that one time.
Yeah.
And I asked you, why the hell is this thing so damn slow? That is what this is like, except mellow as far as RPMs. Like yours would rev, but it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
This is like that, but smooth with no RPM. It does. There is no. For there to be RPM on this, for it to be in the high RPMs, you have to ride a gear low. So basically, you were in the wrong gear the whole time, and this damn thing is screaming for it to be in the upper RPM range. So basically, in my personal opinion, the testing that Motocross Action and some of these others have done so far with this bike, with the way they're riding it, they are wide open. Say they're supposed to be in fourth gear, they're in third gear, wide open, screaming it. And that's why they think the bike is so slow. They're in the wrong damn gear. They're wringing the piss out of it, fixing to blow it up. It's not meant to do that. If they program it correctly and played with the gearing and stuff, the bike will do way more. They're not, as much as they think they're good at what they do, they don't know how to set up a damn bike, I'll tell you that much.
So
I'm
back
gonna have to bleep some of this out.
Just keep it in there and send it to them. Maybe I'll get a job.
No, I don't mean that. I mean,
so back to
I
the,
can say damn, but I can't say some of the other things.
back to the 230. So if I want a trail bike, but I want a little more aggressive where I can maybe go ride with some of my friends.
Yes.
I could do this
Yes.
versus having to doctor up a Kawasaki 230.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to like.
So it is faster than a 230.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 250F that is detuned. Is the way it feels in stock
Okay.
form.
I was curious about that because a lot of people take.
Well, that's not a bad thing. A
230.
250F detuned for
Yeah.
someone who can.
Yeah.
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 You could put your wife on this
Yes.
and go ride around.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a good, in stock form, a good play bike for a guy that just wants to ride with his kids. A good bike that for somebody just starting out, that's just getting their feet wet, putting them on something that's not going to hurt them. Putting your wife on something for when she just wants to ride with everybody. This is along those lines. This is even, I would even say this, if you had a kid, a smaller stature kid, so you have a kid that outgrows at 85, but weight-wise and ability-wise is not ready to step up to even a good 125 or 250F, this would be a good stepping stone in the middle to get them on a big bike, get them used to the weight and the feel of a big bike, but not putting them on something that is going to hurt them or kill them.
good time. We're on the way home. We left Orlando MX. Jason got to ride the Kove full Chinese 250F bike. What were your general impressions, man?
Well, my first time on a Chinese bike, it was actually, I'd say pretty impressive. Like, it's not a bad platform. It has its place. It has potential. As long as you understand what either one of them means, you're good. Question.
What were some positives from the bike?
Decent suspension, surprisingly. I set it up basically similar to what I set all my stuff to. That way I had my general guideline to go by and it should feel like this. It was basically what's on there is, to me, what appeared to be, and from others that have looked at them, basically Shawa knockoff Honda suspension and clamps for the front, and same for the Honda shock. So in general, if you go with that, it is Shawa suspension to some degree. It responded like it. The stock suspension is not bad. It is, I would say, it is sprung in the front heavy. So for a lighter rider, you're immediately going to have to put different springs in the forks. I put a zip tie on the forks just to measure movement, see what happens. I'm not out there doing anything crazy, but I was cruising around, just doing a little bit. I could not bottom the forks out. I still had probably about an inch and a half of travel left. So I'm about 250 in gear with everything. So if I can't bottom it out, a kid that weighs 120 pounds, he ain't going to make it move.
Yeah.
With that being said, the rear end obviously didn't match. I didn't bottom it out. I didn't see any scrub marks, but it definitely felt a little bit softer than the front end, but it seemed to balance out and work. So suspension wise, pretty decent. The biggest talking point we had the whole time we were there was the motor package. The motor, anybody that's ridden a 250F knows what a 250F is like. Anybody that hasn't, basically a 250F, it's just like a 125 or a 80 or 65. If you want to move at a decent rate of speed, you've got to be in the right gear. The bike's got to be producing enough RPMs to turn and move everything, or else it's kind of a dud. It's not going to move like you want it to. With that being said, the general consensus, in my opinion, of this bike is it is a detuned 250F in stock form. In aftermarket form, if you could do a few things to it, I believe it has potential. It is there. The motor wants to run. First gear, obviously, is just putting around, useless, Second gear is very short, but puts you in a good RPM range, but it's not long enough. So basically, you could ride. I rode the bike two different ways. I stuck it in third gear and rode the bike. Didn't shift much. Tried to use the clutch to light it off coming out the corners. It really didn't make much of a difference. Leaving the bike in third, your biggest thing to make you move is you had to carry a lot more momentum in order to keep the bike in somewhat of the bottom end of the power. If you ran into the corner, downshifted to second to keep the RPMs up, as soon as you were coming out of the apex of the turn, you were having to go to third. If you did not do that, the bike would obviously pull out the corner, but it took it a minute to wake up. It was, I don't want to say dead. It was just very mellow and mild. Now, with that also being said, Orlando MX is no longer a sand track. It's more of a, I don't know what you call it. Like, it's not hard packed.
No, it's a nice looking.
It's like a harder packed, loamish. I don't. It's good dirt, really good traction. So traction was perfect. So if the bike is mellow, timid, mild, however you want to phrase it, coming out of a turn with perfect dirt, perfect traction, and anything that is soft, it's just going to rob power out of it. Reference of what I'm talking about is I'm third gear, fanning the clutch with the throttle twisted wide open, and it's taking it a minute to get moving. So on a regular normal bike, if you rode like that, that thing would be a rocket ship. Third gear, fanning the clutch, throttle wide open. Most people aren't even going to hold on to it. They're going to crash. So the power delivery problem felt like a fuel delivery issue. I believe with, at minimum, a programming change and even possibly some timing changes, the bike could be woken up and pull. It wants to. It is there. Once you're moving at a decent rate of speed, the power's there. It's very smooth. It's very linear. It's not scary at all. It just needs to be woken up. We checked the muffler because one of the things that came to my mind is, okay, well, maybe there is some type of restrictor in the muffler. There is not. It is clear and open. So the first step would be change fuel delivery and go from there. I think, honestly, that would wake the bike up, which would change it. If that was the case, it would be a whole different ball game. Wheels look good. Suspension looked good. The frame, after doing some talking and looking, the main frame is not an exact copy, but a somewhat clone of, say, the 2004, 2005 Kawasaki Suzuki era, when they were both the same company, when they merged together to start their 250 and 450F programs. The main frame is a clone of that. That generation of bike, I never actually touched one, so I can't tell you specifically, the steering angle's this. I don't know. Just looking at where everything is, it's very similar. The rear end of the bike is the spacing is a couple different things, so the rear end could kind of go a couple different ways. It does not have a big air box. It's very compact, and it's not a big rear end. There's plenty of room, but the air box in that whole area is small. Clutch was cable only, but it was very smooth, very light. Shifting was, I guess you want to call it, notchy. It kind of wanted to be a pain in the butt to shift some under certain loads. The more I rode it, the easier it got, and I kind of started figuring out how it wanted to be shifted and wanted. So, that's kind of one of the little things that everybody's got its quirks. Looking at the bike, it looks like a smaller rider compartment. Me riding it, I wouldn't say it felt cramped. Obviously, I normally run a Mako 360 with flex bars, so my control area is very different than what most people are used to. So me riding a bike with normal bars I haven't done in quite some time. So the control area for me felt very foreign for somebody that doesn't ride with everything I have. they'd probably get on it, no big deal. The bars were in a decent position for me. I moved the levers up a little bit, and I rode it. Didn't have any problems. It just felt a little odd. I raised the brake pedal up like I do on all my bikes. That way my size 13 boot will find the brake pedal, and actually I can feel it. I tried riding it with it where it was. I couldn't feel the brakes. I knew they were kind of working, but I couldn't feel where they were once I moved the pedal up. The brakes, front and rear, I use both, feel perfectly fine. Obviously there was nothing like super wide open. From what I could tell on the little bit of high speed stuff with a little bit of chop, the bike felt very stable, very easy to ride, very nimble in the air. You could jump it and move the bike around underneath you, and like I want to say it was, I think the dry weight was 240, something like that. So on the scale, yeah, it's 20 to 30 pounds possibly heavier in stock form than one of the Japanese, but it did not feel the weight. Even picking up, put on the stand, it did not feel that bad. Had, if you want to call it, starting issues, basically because it's dumping too much fuel. It gets hot. Programming would probably clean it up. When it gets hot, it takes it a minute to fire off. So yeah, it wasn't bad. I was impressed. Would I run out and buy one? No. If somebody gave me one to test and the means to, hey, play with this, do this, let's see what it does, and do feedback and then turn the bike in to them in a year, sure. With the way it is now, I could not race the bike. It does not have enough guts to it. I even told Trey that he would like it because it's smooth and nimble, easy to ride. But even with him, he'd be like, he'd come to a point where it's like, this is not enough. There needs to be more. It's there. It just needs to be woken up. I haven't dove into or read anything specific about their programming. I know it is changeable, but the details I do not know nothing about.
I thought it was funny that Dave told us, he's like, it came with a cord so you can plug it in to something.
Yeah.
But it didn't come with an owner's manual.
Yeah, it didn't come with anything. So
which I find funny. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, from watching from the outside, it looks like a legitimate dirt bike.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it didn't look like, it didn't look cheap.
Yeah, no, it looked, if you walked into a dealer and you saw this red bike lined up, you immediately would think, oh, it's a Honda.
Yeah.
It's not, but the appearance of it is, oh, that's a Honda. Yeah, it's not, from what I could tell, it's not put together cheaply. It's not shit plastic. It is 100% legit. The biggest downfall in stock form as it is the power delivery.
Yeah.
But I think if you woke it up and played with the tuning, I think that engine would give you a whole lot more. Now, is it going to be one of the Japanese manufacturers' bikes head-to-head off the line? Is it going to be in the same realm? Absolutely not. Does it have the potential to be an average weekend warrior bike and be reliable and be able to do what a person of that nature can do? Yes.
Overall, I think it looked like it could be a fun bike. I think it, like you say, for someone just starting out, it's a motocross bike, which is kind of ironic since they built a rally bike to begin with.
Yeah.
You would think they would go off-road. It did have a 6-speed transmission, which leads me to believe more of the off-road versus motocross.
Yeah.
But
I never got out of third. I never had to. Like I said, once the bike got moving, it was good.
Yeah. But overall, enjoyed Dave. Dave is a character. If you get a chance, follow his YouTube page. The guy loves classic bikes.
Yeah.
Loves the history of bikes. He is a plethora of information. This was something fun for him to do, to try. Like,
yeah, this was out of his comfort. Basically, he bought this to see what happens and allowed me to ride it to, somebody that has experience on newer bikes. He has no experience on anything newer, so this was foreign to him. Like, obviously he knows stuff, but this was fuel injection and how modern stuff is kind of foreign nature to him. Hopefully, he learned a little bit today and kind of picked up on some things, but it was fun. It was definitely what we did today. I enjoy. I wish I could do it more. So, if anybody from any of these companies or any of manufacturers actually want a real person, not some paid advertiser that is going to lie about the product and not tell the truth, please feel free to reach out to us. I am more than happy to test anything. I don't ask for compensation or nothing like that. I just want to use your shit and have fun. So,
it was pretty cool. I want to thank Dave for the opportunity. What's the name of the site?
Bullpen Cycles.
Bullpen Cycles. Dave Bullpen Cycles. That's his YouTube page too. He does a lot of cool stuff, but he was very, very kind, very courteous. Told Jason, "Hey man, go ride the bike. Don't crash." Not because he wanted to crash the bike, because he didn't want Jason to get hurt.
I didn't crash any today.
Nope, we did not crash. But I enjoyed it because I got to see. One, I've never been to Orlando MX. Pretty cool. Nice track facility. Hey guys, let's tighten it up a bit.
Yeah.
We'll get into
price point was on point. Pricing was fine, but facility. Let's like Trey said. Nice track, nice layout, pricing cool. I hadn't been there in 24 years, so I don't remember 24 years ago exactly how it all was. But let's clean it up a little bit.
I'm not getting business people to come to this facility.
No,
it's not going to happen. So,
Dade City.
Yeah, if we're trying to grow the sport, man, it's great track. Great track. Just need to tidy it up, man. Pull out the weed eater, move some of the old equipment. But nonetheless, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jason, for inviting me. And we're going to put all this together and make it into a podcast.
Yep.
But
Dave has video as well on his, so there will be two videos with some overlapping stuff, one from our end and then one from his end. His end is definitely more entertaining at the very end. That was not my doing, that was his doing. So just if you want to be entertained at the very end, just watch his.
Yep. But thank you, and this will have been an episode of Beyond the Curve. The MX podcast goes on road, off road. But we were at a motocross track, and we had to get there via highway. So we were on road, off road, motocross, trying a Chinese bike, and we're gonna go with Kove. That's what we're gonna call it.
It sounds nice. It sounds clean.
Kove, Kove,
Yeah.
and it is a straight Chinese motorcycle.
Look them up. It's their website and everything's legit. They're a legit company. Just kind of trying to break into the market, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.